Hello everyone, welcome to Fixing Disney Star Wars. This is episode 11 in our commentary series for the closure cut of the Rise of Skywalker, and we're glad that you're here. Thanks for joining us as we attempt to build a better episode 9. If you'd like, please subscribe and like our videos. It helps us place higher in the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you'd like, please feel free to let us know what you thought about episode 9 in the comments below, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. If you like our work, please consider joining our Subscribe Star. If you don't know, Subscribe Star is a membership platform that's similar to Patreon, but it respects a creator's freedom of speech and their rights to do as they like with their content. And this is important to us because just today, it was released that Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, came out and announced that he is going to continue censoring people on his platform that voice opinions or say things that he doesn't agree with. And this is not how freedom of speech works. And it's a very important right in America and all around the world. So it's important to us as a team that we work with companies that support that right. And Subscribe Star does just that. On our Subscribe Star, we post all kinds of things like exclusive content, new videos, new commentary, including commentary on the Mandalorian episodes, new VFX tests, new background art, and more. And all the funds raised via our Subscribe Star go directly to funding our edits. We don't keep anything. We use that money for creating new VFX, hiring voiceover artists, etc. So if you'd like to help us from a financial standpoint, the link is in the description. And now, with the intro out of the way, let's get to the commentary. We kick off this week's commentary during the sequence where Rey finds herself in Ren's private quarters on his Star Destroyer. In the original cut of the scene, Rey sees the remains of Darth Vader's helmet sitting on a pedestal, and then she turns around and sees a counter filled with a number of items, including the Sith dagger, Chewie's bandolier, and his bowcaster. She senses some of the events that the dagger has been involved with, and then Kylo says her name, at which point Rey turns around to see Kylo standing there. Now, in our edit, most of this has been done away with. Firstly, the dagger is now of no concern in this edit. They don't need it to find the Emperor's holocron on Endor. It has no role in the death of Rey's parents in this edit, and they don't need it for any sort of translation. So, at this point, in this version of the film, there's no reason to have Rey interact with the dagger. And so, instead, most of this has been removed. We've added in a new shot of Kylo Ren here as well, and so now, the scene plays out as Rey walking over to Vader's helmet when Kylo says her name. This edit works surprisingly well, and it also allows us to circumnavigate the troublesome dagger bit here completely. We've also removed Ren's line here where he says, "I pushed you in the desert because I needed to see it, I needed you to see it, who you are." We've removed this bit of dialogue because we're going to move it to a hangar sequence where he says something similar. As the scene progresses, Ren tells Rey, "I know the rest of your story," and Rey responds with, "You're lying." Now, in the original cut, this scene continues with Ren saying, "I never lied to you. Your parents were no one. They chose to be, to keep you safe." In our edit of the scene, Ren says, "I know the rest of your story." Rey responds with, "You're lying," and he says, "Yes, I lied to you. Your parents chose to keep you safe." And this change is really important for a few reasons. But firstly, it's because this edit establishes Ren's account of Rey's parents in episode 8 as being a lie. And because Ren does actually know what happened to them, this revelation that he lied means that Ren was actively attempting to manipulate Rey into joining him by lying to her about her parents, her one true vulnerability. Obviously, manipulating someone to get what you want out of them is a fairly reprehensible thing to do, and so this revelation here means that Ren really is a bad guy. He wasn't trying to be genuine to Rey in episode 8, he was trying to take advantage of her soft spot for her parents. Second, because we now know that Ren manipulated Rey in episode 8, the audience understands that he has the ability to do it again. In this sequence, Rey is already vulnerable due to her thinking Chewie had died at her hands. Of course, she finds out that he's alive, but then this puts her on an emotional roller coaster, and now here's Kylo Ren bringing up her parents and telling her that he lied to her, admitting that he emotionally manipulated her. And this leads Rey and the audience to wonder just why exactly Ren is coming clean to Rey now. What's his endgame here? And perhaps it is again to lure Rey into a false sense of security, showing her that he's not such a bad guy because he can admit his mistakes, or maybe because he truly wants to tell her what happened to her parents. But this is a sort of emotional manipulation on the part of Ren again. The idea that Ren is a manipulator and a liar is important because it makes his villainy more sincere. And in our edits of these films, Rey is not portrayed as a Mary Sue capable of doing all and being all. She's portrayed as being vulnerable and naive. That Kylo Ren would take advantage of someone like Rey and her state for personal gain truly makes him more of a villain, the kind of villain this trilogy needed to begin with. As the sequence progresses, we come to the vision of her parents that we've augmented via deepfake so that we could put Ian McDermott's face onto Rey's father, as well as add new VFX to show her parents' ship exploding in air from force lightning. Of course, this vision doesn't show where the lightning comes from as of yet, but that's because Rey is having trouble remembering exactly what happened, though this vision indicates it's becoming clearer for her to remember. Now, some of these VFX in this sequence are incomplete right now, but we're working to make them on par with those seen in the films. And as the sequence progresses, Ren continues to speak to Rey, telling her that her parents sold her to protect her. And Ren then tells Rey, "I know what happened to them." But we've changed this line now so that Kylo Ren now says, "Rey, you know what happened to them." And this is an important line because it gives us as the audience a hint to Rey's character. In our version of the films, there's an interesting character flaw at play with Rey, and this flaw is Rey's need to push away or forget events or things that truly hurt her. Here, we discover that Rey does in fact know what happened to her parents, but that event, this idea that she killed her own parents, is so traumatic to her that her child mind forced it out of her head. She's completely forgotten because the weight of killing her parents as a child was just too much for her to bear, and as a result, Rey has spent her whole life looking for her parents, oblivious to the fact that she was in fact responsible for their deaths. And this trauma was simply too great for her little mind to handle, comprehend, or accept, so she simply forced it out of her mind completely. And this means that Rey, at least in some capacity, doesn't want to handle or face her problems. She'd rather look elsewhere than focus on her own issues. And this is important because the events of this film force her to confront the idea that not only did she kill her parents, but that the power she used to do it was passed on to her genetically from the most evil man in the galaxy. It's a really tragic way to look at this character, to look at Rey. She's not perfect anymore. She's a scared child trapped in the body of an inexperienced, thankful, unliked adult looking for belonging and acceptance. But the main point here is that Rey clearly experiences the fear of facing her problems. And we all know that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. So, it's this fear of facing her problems, of facing her past, of facing what she has done, that could lead her to a dark, dark path. And this fear is manifested, in this film at least, as Dark Rey, the culmination of her experiences and her surrender to her fear. The vision in the Death Star is a warning to her. It's a wake-up call. Soon after this sequence, the film switches to a sequence featuring the captured Finn, Poe, and Chewie being brought before Allegiant General Pryde. In the original cut, the stormtrooper escorting our heroes says, "Allegiant General, the scavenger's not with them." Pryde looks at them and says, "Take them away, terminate them." So the issue here is that the stormtrooper is referring to Rey as the scavenger, but she hasn't been a scavenger for quite some time. She's a Padawan learner and a member of the Resistance, but she's not scavenging anymore. Apart from this, it's obvious that Rey is not with these characters, and Pryde isn't blind, so this is again another part of the film where we're told what's happening instead of what's being shown. In our edit, the stormtrooper simply says, "Allegiant General." Pryde takes a moment to look at our heroes, and then orders their termination. And this scene works better this way, flowing more naturally than before. Well, that's going to do it for this episode in our Closure Cut commentary series. What do you like most about The Rise of Skywalker, and what do you dislike the most about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to drop a line or comment as well. You can also reach us at fixingdisneystarwars@yahoo.com. Until episode 12, may the Force be with you.